Alrighty. Today we're gonna have a review on the Batman v Superman movie, which we saw yesterday, and we're gonna first do no spoilers while we have our drinks of margaritas and a few tequila shots, and hopefully by the time we have to get into spoilers, we got a good buzz going because there's a lot of shit to talk about in this movie.
This is really strong.
Yes, it is very strong.
Just not expecting that.
Okay, so the first thing, I guess you want to go through it from the beginning to the end.
Sure.
Okay. I think the most flawless part of the movie is the beginning, which is even though we didn't need it, the Batman origin again.
Yes. They didn't need to be. We already know his parents get killed. Like, all right, done. Let's move on.
Yeah. So now we are literally gonna move on to where the movie kind of starts, and it's what you think. The movie is Superman dealing with the repercussions of the last movie, and Batman reacting to Superman, and pretty much if you saw the trailers, you know what the movie is. It kind of unfolds the way you expect. And if you've seen the last two trailers, you've seen the movie pretty much. I mean, was there anything different, really, without spoiling anything that wasn't in the trailers?
No. Like,
Okay.
the movie, we didn't even have to see the movie. You already saw it in the trailer.
Yeah, and also Jessie had pointed out, which we're gonna get into later. There's a lot of things that happen in this movie that, if they had cut it out, it would make no difference to the movie at all.
Didn't have to be there.
It didn't have to be there. It's really hard. Like, I've been trying to rethink about the movie since we saw it, and it's actually really hard to think of the movie in order because there's just so many things that happen that you're like, okay, like there's a lot of things that are dragged out. The fight scene, the Batman v Superman fight scene, which I think makes the movie really misleading to call it that, Batman v Superman, is because the fight doesn't take place till like it felt like almost an hour and a half into the movie because it's a 2.5 hour movie, right? I think.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like a 2 hour movie, and you feel like they don't fight till near the end, and when they fight, it doesn't really that fight doesn't really pay off. I don't think it warranted it being Batman v Superman. We're about to get into spoilers, but what was your overall, like? Did you like it, hate it?
I'm gonna give it like a C minus, and that's like me being nice. Like,
I would say if you're someone who liked Man of Steel, you're probably gonna like this movie. If you're a DC fan that's been wanting to see Batman and Superman fight, I mean, I think you'll enjoy it, but it is very, I mean, I feel the kind of the way I felt with Man of Steel. There's things that I like about it, and there's things that I hate about it. Pretty much from this point on, we're going to talk spoilers now. So if you don't want any spoilers, you can stop now. So now to get into the spoilers. So basically, the whole thing with the movie is that Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, which Jesse Eisenberg, it's not Lex Luthor. It doesn't feel like Lex Luthor at all.
no.
He has discovered kryptonite, and this happens like right in the beginning of the movie. Right from the get-go, he discovers kryptonite, and he's trying to weaponize it. And the Supreme Court lady, I forget her name, there's a senator that's pretty much pushing back on him.
Not important. Not even.
Well, it is a little important, but her character was dragged out a little bit too much. But basically, he's trying to get kryptonite to be weaponized for further Kryptonians, and the senator is like, no, we're not going to do that. And that's about all her character was good for, is to say, no, we're not going to do that.
No, she had a funny joke too.
She made a reference about like
something about piss.
Yeah, she said, you could tell me that you can weaponize something and call it a deterrent, and you can also piss in a bucket and call it Granny's peach tea.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to drink it. And yeah, so pretty much
that was the only funny
Lex Luthor is trying to. Oh yeah, by the way, this movie is not funny at all. There's very few things that are funny about this movie. It's mainly, I'm actually surprised at how seriously they try to take this movie, because when you watch other superhero movies, they take themselves seriously in the sense of you can believe what's happening, but there's a lot of joking around make you also feel you're watching a superhero movie. This movie was actually very serious and depressing, and Superman, my takeaway from Superman in Man of Steel was that he was kind of a good guy, a nice guy. And in this movie, there's scenes where you feel like he actually likes that people are afraid of him. Like, there's times where he's fine. Like, he's kind of like, oh, I don't know why people don't like me. And he threatens the shit out of Batman, where he's like, oh, enough with this Batman stuff. And he like threatens him, and then later on he threatens Lex Luthor. Like he's threatening him, not like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you in." He's like, "I could destroy you right now."
Why
And
don't you?
yeah, they made
Sad.
Superman saving someone.
Sad.
They made Superman saving someone seem like a really sad thing, like the whole Mexico scene.
Oh my
That
god,
was
he
so
just
depressing.
remembered. Yes. That whole, like, there was one
Like
guy
he
in
saves
the
them.
background who was just like,
Yeah, they're all like, "Huh." There's a
like,
lot of God reference that he's a
right.
god. And also, if you were thinking you're gonna have Batman, the Batman that doesn't kill people and all that, and that's why he hates Superman because Superman took a life. You're not getting that Batman at all. You're
No.
getting the Dark Knight Returns Batman where he is straight up. There's a part
Murder.
he straight up murder. There's a scene with the Batmobile where you literally see a guy in a truck like, oh, where'd he go? And Batman comes out of a building and you
Well,
see
he
the
breaks,
guy get run
yeah.
over by the Batmobile.
There was that other scene where he breaks that other guy's neck. Like,
Yeah, that's during a dream sequence, which by the way, there's a shitload of dream sequences in this movie. The first scene, the origin of Batman, is a dream sequence. Batman has like 3 other dream sequences, so 4 in total in this movie. And you can kind of tell when they're gonna happen because there's something that's off immediately, and you're like, oh, it's a dream sequence.
mhm.
Lex Luthor stages a way to frame Superman by having Superman show up somewhere and then blowing that place up. So the world hates Superman, and Superman takes off for a long time in the movie, and then comes back conveniently right before the fight scene with Batman, which by this point Batman has stolen the kryptonite because he knows he can use it to fight Superman. Which that whole thing I was kind of fine with because that
So
that would
yeah,
make sense.
even as we're doing the review now, we pretty much already skipped like the whole beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
because
pretty much.
it wasn't even important. That's how unimportant it was. Like,
Yeah, and also, it's
it was like an hour and a half of
there was
nothing.
an hour and a half of
Nothing.
Batman training and Batman finding out where the kryptonite is.
Doing
Superman,
CrossFit.
yeah, doing CrossFit in his basement. Superman flying around. Let's keep drinking. A lot of Superman flying around. Wow, it is really strong.
Yeah, Superman and Lois
Lois.
in the tub.
Oh, there's a bathtub
slow
scene to get
motion.
Lois like naked, where you don't see anything.
And then he gets in the tub with her. And then his glasses slowly fall on the floor.
Oh yeah, and Zack Snyder.
So much slow motion.
You can have a
so
drinking
much.
game. Me and Jessie were talking about this. If you get this movie on Blu-ray, you can literally have a drinking game of every time something falls to the floor in slow motion. It happens like 9 times in the movie. Batman's mom's pearls falling on the ground in slow motion.
Yeah.
Clark's glasses falling on the ground. Bullet shells falling on the ground. There's things constantly falling.
Even there was what was it, a torpedo? Was it a torpedo? I don't know.
It was like a cannon shell or something.
That falls slowly on the floor, like unnecessary things that didn't have to be there. I get like he's trying to do like a whole scenery of
he's trying to be artsy.
He's trying to be artsy, like a film student that just like graduated, and he's like trying to like put all his ideas like, oh, this would look so cool if I just did this one thing.
Yeah, and that's what the dream sequences are in this movie. The dream sequences are, I want to put something really crazy that can't exist right now because we haven't explained it. So we're just going to put in a dream sequence. You see Man-Bat in a dream sequence where it's literally like a human bat. You see this crazy alternate universe. And now we're going to get into the next thing, which is the exposition or the introduction of the other Justice League characters in this movie, which Flash literally shows up in this movie, and it is very strange and out of place.
Yes.
It's just kind of like there's a dream sequence that happens where Batman is clearly thinking of like an alternate universe, and when he comes out of it, you just see the Flash just there. He doesn't call himself the Flash, but he's like trying to send Bruce a message, and then he just disappears, and Bruce wakes up. And Bruce like tells nobody about it. He just like
this is totally normal.
He just like, oh, I guess that was also a dream.
It's like, I gotta kill Superman now.
He's like, let me go back to trying to kill Superman.
Just have a feeling. Remember that part that he goes like,
I just have a feeling.
I just have a feeling. I got a feeling. I don't know. It's just like
yeah, Alfred was trying to be the voice of reason, kind of like what we thought. For some reason, Jessie thinks Jeremy Irons and George Clooney look alike. I don't see it at all.
It's like George Clooney and Iron Man had a baby, and they made this guy. He does not look old enough.
He looks older than Ben Affleck.
Yes.
But he does
but
not look
20 years
like
older than him.
They do not look like Ben Affleck was fighting crime for like 20 years and then took a 10-year break and then came back. He doesn't look like he's like 50 or 60.
No.
And Alfred does not look decrepit. All right, but getting back to what we were talking about.
Yes.
The introduction to the other Justice League characters, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, was handled actually pretty fine to me. I know you don't like it.
No comments.
She doesn't like Gal Gadot. And I don't like Gadot or Gadot.
Gadot, isn't it? Gadot? It's like Jadet or something.
It's not even with a J. Good job.
I'm sorry, Gadet or something. Gadot.
Gadet.
Right? No? Okay, I don't know. Go on.
All right. But anyway, she actually wasn't shoehorned in the way that I thought she was going to be. She actually was in the movie a lot as her alter ego. The thing is, the way they introduced the other characters is through like an email, which had logos and all this. It just was very, like, I can't explain it because no other movie has done this. Like, all the Marvel movies haven't really, they'll name drop someone, but there's a scene where they literally look at an email and they click and there's footage of one of the Justice League members, and I think the most disappointing one was Aquaman.
Yes, that was terrible.
Like, it's kind of like, oh, you're gonna see Aquaman, and it's like, literally footage of Jason Momoa looking at the camera, like coming out of a ship,
like a
and
man
then he just
supposed to be half fish or something.
He's not supposed to be half fish. I mean,
but like,
he's an Atlantean.
Yeah, but like he's supposed to be like fish, like, you know, but like more like authentic, I guess. More like
no.
Yeah, more regal. That's the word that was.
Okay.
But he just looks.
He looks like Jason Momoa holding a trident, and he's just swimming towards a camera that's clearly looking at him, and he's looking back at it, and he's just looking at it, and then he just stabs it, and then like soars off, and then Cyborg was very strange. I didn't like. They pretty much show Cyborg in pieces, and then a cube coming, and then melting, and then the footage stops, and I'm just kind of like. That the Flash one was fine. The Flash one was Barry Allen is at a like a gas station or whatever. He's going to grab something. The cashier is getting robbed, and all of a sudden, like, the cameras flip out as he's like speeding through the room. That was fine. That was the only one that was fine. But Aquaman and Cyborg, it's like they should have just not even done it. Like they could have taken that out of the movie, and it wouldn't have changed anything. There's so much of the movie. That's not worth talking about.
All Lois's parts could have been cut off. Lois's parts could have been cut off. She didn't have
Lois was very irrelevant in this movie. It's the equivalent of if the Avengers were trying to force Pepper Potts into the movie.
Which they did.
They mentioned her in the beginning when she's with Tony, and then once they grab Tony, they don't mention her again, or they don't show her again. But in this movie, it was kind of like she was... Because you could tell it was supposed to be a Man of Steel sequel that then just went off the rails completely. Okay, I don't want to talk about that part anymore. We're going to get right to the Doomsday part now. Which, this happened exactly the way I said it was going to happen. Jesse Eisenberg gets access to the Kryptonian ship that Zod was trying to use to repopulate Kryptonians. Okay, he gets access to that. He gets Zod's body. He puts it in that chamber.
In the pea body. The pea pot.
It looks like a giant pea pot.
The toilet.
Yeah. Okay, so they get Zod. He puts his body in there. He puts a little bit of his own blood on Zod's face, and then it creates Doomsday. It looks as bad as...
It did in the trailers.
It looked worse at first, because he didn't even have all his spikes. He was still like just born.
It was like a baby.
As he became more powerful, he got the spikes that you see in the trailer. But he never looks any better at any point. And the entire fight scene it's even more insane than the Man of Steel fight scene at the end. Like, there's literally a part in this movie where it's the equivalent of a nuclear blast going off in the city.
Well, no, but remember that Superman fought Batman, and then came Doomsday.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Batman fight. Just so that you know, how little of an impact that fight made.
It was like
It was the most
by now
disappointing
2 hours, and we're like waiting for this fight scene
for
to
the
happen.
title of the
And
movie
we're
to
just
happen.
like, it's gonna happen now.
Yeah, the
And
Batman
then it
the Batman and Superman fight scene is not at all what you think it's gonna be. It's pretty much Batman lays some traps. Superman easily goes through them. He makes the kryptonite gas, and he starts beating the crap out of Superman. There's a part where the gas wears off, and Superman starts fighting back. He sets gas on Superman again. Now we're getting to something really stupid.
No, and I just realized something now. For okay, it's not like you can find kryptonite anywhere. Okay, so he really did not utilize the kryptonite correctly because he had a giant stone.
It's like
it
Superman.
was like he used half of it for gas. Like really gas?
Batman's goal was to kill Superman, so he makes a giant dagger thing. Okay, but he doesn't.
Smart,
he doesn't use it immediately. He gasses him first, and then he uses the dagger. But he could have very easily just made a bullet, like a kryptonite bullet. He could have done so many different things. And then here's the best part of that fight scene is so he gasses Superman for a second time. He's on top of Superman, and he has a giant spear, and he literally cuts Superman in the face. He has a huge cut on his face, and then he's about to stab him, and then Superman basically says, "No, they're gonna kill Martha." Okay. They're gonna kill Martha. Oh, they're gonna kill Martha. Okay, and then Batman's like, "What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?"
Who did you call her?
So apparently,
What did you call her?
Basically, Batman's mom, Bruce Wayne's mom, that died, his name is Martha, and Superman's living mom is also named Martha. So it's like they had this moment of like, "Oh, we're alike," and then Lois shows up right at the right moment to explain Martha's his mother, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Lex captured Superman's mom and said if you don't kill Batman, then I'm gonna kill your mom," and that's why they're fighting.
By the way, another thing that I just realized, Lois. I'm always gonna say her freaking name wrong. She was underwater, right? And she goes to get the spear.
Yeah.
She dropped in the. I forgot the whole part. She dropped in the water.
After they become friends, she throws the spear in the water, but then they realize they need the spear later to kill Doomsday.
He hears her going like this because like the building fell because
the building fell on top of what she was on.
And she's going like this, but like, why did he do that shit with his mom?
Oh, like here to where she was? There's a lot of.
Like he could only hear her.
Yeah, no, and here's the other thing. There's a scene where Lex has Lois, and he throws Lois off a building after explaining his evil plan, and Lois is falling, and at this point in the movie, Superman has disappeared for like 2 or 3 days, and then he shows up out of nowhere to pick up Lois, and she's like, "Oh, thanks. You came back." I'm like, what was he doing? Was he just floating around Metropolis waiting for something bad to happen to her?
No, he was like, "Oh, my senses are tingling," like
I know, right? It's like
my Lois senses are tingling.
He has like a Lois spider sense, and like, shows up.
But not his mom, though.
Yeah.
It's only his girlfriend.
Oh, and also Lex Luthor explains how he knows Superman is Clark, but doesn't explain how he knows Superman is Clark at the same time. He never says, "Oh, I noticed this, that, this, and the other." He just says he notices triangles, and in the middle of it is Superman.
Alright, go ahead.
Going back to the Doomsday fight scene, it's just pure. It's like Dragon Ball Z times 10, bro. There's a part where Superman throws Doomsday into space, and they nuke, like the military nukes them, and that just makes Doomsday stronger. Doomsday lands and explodes half the city. Superman gets his power back from the sun. Wonder Woman is kicking ass. They've already established that nuclear radiation makes him stronger. And they throw him into what seems to be a giant power plant just in the middle of Metropolis, and it all explodes and makes him even more stronger. And he does another shockwave blast that destroys even more buildings. And that is the part of the movie where I just started laughing out loud because I could not believe at this point the fight scene had only gone on for 5 minutes and they already destroyed more of the city than they destroyed in Man of Steel. And the fight scene happens, and one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen take place in a movie ever, when you know there's going to be sequels and sequels and sequels, is they hint at the fact that Superman is going to die. because he uses the kryptonite spear, which he should not even be able to hold and fly at the same time, but he does it in the movie. He stabs Doomsday with it, and then Doomsday impales him, and we're led to believe that Superman dies. Okay, and then the movie goes on for like another 10 minutes. Like it was just kind of like at this point in the movie, we're like, okay, no more action's gonna happen.
Like, can we just end it?
Can we just end it already? And then there's this more, hey, sequel, sequel, sequel. Lex Luthor says something that if you're a fan, you should know, but because they spoil everything, they already told you 2 months ago it's going to be Darkseid. They're standing by Clark's grave, and Bruce tells to Wonder Woman, okay, we got to find the other metahumans that were on that file. And as they walk away, the movie's about to end, and on the coffin there's some dirt, and the dirt floats up, and then that's how you know Superman's going to come back. They also have a funeral for Superman. So they had a funeral for Clark Kent, and then they had a funeral for Superman at the end of the movie, which suggests that the world actually does recognize Superman as like a hero. So that was kind of like a good thing. I'm hoping it ends the whole is Superman bad or good when he eventually comes back, but I just felt it was stupid to kill him because we know he's not really dead. It's because the next movie is Justice League, and I don't know. It says there's so many things wrong with this movie. But for the most part, the things I like about it, like Batman, all the Batman fight scenes were amazing. Every time Batman was on the screen, it was a good thing. I like how DC is going like this whole really dark route because it's like, yeah, you know what, go for it. But what I don't like is I don't know why they're trying to rush their films as if they're in competition with Marvel. Like there's no competition. Marvel's already in for like since 2008. DC should just do things in their own pace.
Yeah,
but they're not gonna do it. Oh, and Jesse Eisenberg shaves his head at the end of the movie.
Well,
Still not Lex
he
Luthor.
doesn't shave his head. They shave his head because he's in jail. I just hope that people like just don't like his character where they're gonna just change him.
Recast him?
Recast him.
I don't think so.
Just please. Please recast
They're
him.
not gonna recast him because
just put anyone.
If they recast him, they can't just suddenly change the Lex Luthor character. He's gonna be that same wacky shit that they did. I haven't met anybody yet who told me, I really liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I haven't heard not anybody say. I've heard everybody change their mind about Wonder Woman. There's 50-50 that like her, but everybody has, as unanimously that I've spoken to, said they do not like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He did not. I mean, there's moments where it's like, it's okay. And there's moments where he's just like an awkward fucking guy. He's just really awkward.
It's like I said, like Michael Cera and that other guy from She's Out of My League had a baby. And that's who Jesse Eisenberg is. Is like an awkward version.
You know what he reminds me of, actually? He reminds me of the kind of villains I was seeing on Gotham before I stopped watching Gotham.
Oh my god, yes.
Very cartoony and animated.
Like the Riddler?
Yeah, pretty much.
Who am I? I say riddles.
But I wouldn't tell you guys to not see it. I would just say if you're not a fan of DC, you're not going to like this movie because they do very little to help you understand what's happening. I think fans of DC who are used to the multiverse, or even fans of The Flash that have already been introduced to what a multiverse is, will understand the movie a little bit more. But I think if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't know anything about Batman or Superman, let me watch this, you're going to hate the movie because they don't explain anything. They don't give you examples of how Batman was when he started fighting crime. They don't go into any of that. And even when they become friends suddenly because their moms have the same name, they don't even...
Your mom's name is Martha? My mom's name is Martha.
Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and end this because we could sit here talking about this movie all day.
Yeah.
I was worried that they weren't going to make any more movies, but the movie already broke like 400 million. So, yeah, expect more Justice League movies. I just hope they learned from this one, but seeing as they didn't learn from Man of Steel and actually made a movie that was just as horrible plot-wise, I think this is just going to be the trend, so buckle up for that because they have Zack Snyder directing Justice League.